Welcome, welcome, welcome to another podcast of 50's AF. This one is going to be a little unique. It's going to be a journey, and I'm kind of like doing it differently than I ever have before. But without saying that, I need my audience to understand something today. Do you ever have those shit days where you're running and gutting it, and you don't catch your breath? Hell, this is my breath now, so like, it's been a day, okay? So give me a few minutes to settle down and catch my own breath. So today's podcast, we're going to do something really cool. We're going to be discussing transformation and creating a life of freedom. Easier said than done, and we all know that dating in our 50s, oh my God, that is so easy to say and so not. So I always have a guest, as you know, and I want to please give a warm welcome and to our guest today, and she'll get into who she is, but her name is Janell Kelly. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I love this, and I love that I get to be like your first breath today.
Oh, thank you.
Right? Yeah.
So you know what? Can I share our story a little bit
Sure,
about like what happened last night?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
So I posted I don't want to call it a bedroom confessional because it didn't deserve to be there. I posted something on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere, and it's rare that I talk about being a widow. And there are those that believe in things and those that don't. And I always joke that I wish my late husband would just freaking communicate more with me. Give me some signs. So over the course of time, he has, and his way of doing it is freaking turning lights off on me. And then last night I was doing this recording, and it was widow to widows, and it was a very serious topic. And I did it in my living room. And as I bring up the words, yesterday would have been my 17th anniversary. A probe of whiteness just came falling down to me. Very visual. Go back and look at it. Then on the same one, a few moments later, when I say moving on, a white shadow comes behind and moves. Mm-hmm. So to all of you out there, like, hey, we do get signs. I mean, some of you may not believe it, some of you may. And I was texting Janell because she's really into all this spiritual stuff. And we're both like, oh my God, this is so cool. And the timing that he said it was really cool. So today, through Janell's personal experience, what we're going to be talking about, she discovered the power of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, which is something we don't actually ever talk about. Emotional intelligence is something that men and women really need to understand a little bit more. And then adaptation, which I practiced that word I don't know how many times. So Janell set off on a mission to lead others through her own experience that she had through physical and emotional transformation, one person at a time. Isn't that beautiful? Like when you hear that, with the intention of continuously adding value to those around her and leaving people better than she found them. I think that's first of all, I think that's great that in general, when you have a relationship with somebody, leaving them feeling better than when you came into that moment, that's a blessing. It really is. And so she leads both individuals and professionals and corporations to reach the next levels of human potential and peak performance. And, I don't want to go on and on and on, but I love this quote to start off before I really dig into Janell and put her in the hot seat. It's, can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be? Wow. Let that land with you for a few minutes. Play back if you have to. That's really strong. So with that said, I would like to segue to Janell, and I want her to introduce herself, share your personal story as much as you're willing to, and highlight the transition you went to into being a coach that you are today. So with that, take it away, Janell. It's all you, babe.
Well, thank you very much. And, I'm so happy to be here and share this story, because when we can share our gifts with others and our stories with others, and I was so impressed with you when we met a few days ago.
Thank you.
And really sharing. And it's like you just see a whole new light in a person and a whole new level to a person that we don't get to see every day. So really quickly, so my backstory, if you can imagine, picture that it is Monday morning, 5 a.m. I'm laying in my bed and I'm staring at the ceiling and the alarm goes off for like the 6th time, right? And I'm going, it cannot be time to get up and do this all over again, right? And as my feet hit the floor, it was in that moment that I realized that something had to change. And I got up that day and
Let me ask you, what do you mean? Like, okay, so what was negatively going on that you felt like, not again?
It's just that exhaustion. It's getting out of bed to put I was a nurse for 30 years, right? At that time, I was a nurse for 24 years. And it was my purpose and passion for a very long time. And what I have realized is all those years of putting other people's needs ahead of mine, whether at work or outside of work, because we as women, I think we could agree that many times we put everyone else in front of ourselves, right?
Yes,
Guilty. Yes.
To this day, absolutely, still.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So why do we do that? And it's like when we start to realize that that's actually, we think we're doing the best for everybody around that way, but we're not, right? We're really, when we can put ourselves first and do that self-care and do that inner work, we show up differently. And when we show up differently, we're showing up in our best self.
I like that. So along the lines of, are you saying, so if you're in your best state of mind, you're in the best healthy place, you can put forth, your best self, and without that, you really can't, is what you're kind of saying, if I understand correctly.
Yes. And the thing is, Nicole, we're not even aware of it until we are, right? Like my life felt like Groundhog's Day. It felt like I was rolling on that hamster wheel, if anyone's ever felt that way. And I know there's people out there.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about the hamster wheel on many different levels, whether it's going into toxic relationships over and over and staying, but it is the hamster wheel. We have a lot of working moms out there, a lot of people that work, and it's like, it's like Groundhog Day, all over a day, just like you said. It really is. And it's like, what's my purpose at this point? Why am I going through these motions?
Right. And how do we interrupt that cycle? Because 85% of thoughts, all the thing comes from the subconscious mind. So there's a lot of things we're not aware of. So how do we just kind of stop, pause, make a different choice, right? Because when we're living on a hamster wheel, we're really living in like a maintenance mode where you're just maintaining yourself, right?
So I don't even think I'm like, my hamster wheel definitely was the time with twins and getting up early, getting everyone dressed, getting the food and getting in the car and taking everyone to school and da-da-da-da, and then repeat. It's like, it was like that. It was like repeat performance. And there was times, especially as a widow, caring for somebody, I didn't have a choice to get off that hamster wheel. And so there are people out there that are our audience that don't realize they're on the hamster wheel, but also not necessarily can stop. And it's difficult, and we acknowledge that. Somebody that is a single mom, maybe out there in their 50s, still, and they got to keep the lights on, and they have no choice. But I think through what you do, what you're going to explain, even can help them.
Yes, because here's the thing, honestly, every single thing we do in our life is a choice. So when we say we don't have a choice, and I do totally understand, having to take care of ourselves and pay our bills. But when we say we don't have a choice, we're literally giving our power away.
Oh, yes. I like that.
Right?
Yes.
And we don't want, everything we do, Nicole, and every choice we make, in every way that we choose to react to each situation, we're either empowering ourselves or giving our power away. So how do we do it so that we're continuously empowering ourselves and still putting the food on the table and bringing home the paycheck, getting the kids taken care of, being able to have a dating life. And so when you can make the interruption in the hamster wheel, right? This is kind of what the program is about that I teach. When you can learn that interruption, you can pause at every moment and make a new choice. And
so you're like, for women in their 50s, I think what I'm hearing from you is that, if you're feeling despondent, I just am not having success in dating, you're saying basically through your work, they can have better outcomes.
Absolutely. In every area of your life. And that includes our dating life, right?
Yeah.
Because And as you say, here we go. You just said it. You and I had talked about our word being our wand, right? And putting declarations out into the world. And it's like, I'm not having success in my dating life.
Yeah.
How many times have you said that?
So the words that you speak are powerful is what you're saying. If you're putting out negative words in your mind and out of your mouth, it's resulting in negativity in some way because you have a negative outlook on it. Instead of saying a positive thing, am I following? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, so I hate the words negative and positive because they sound so negative and so positive. They sound like good and bad, and it's not that, but your word is a declaration, right? And this can get a little woo-woo, but once we understand the power of our words, and we went through this. So we speak a word, we hear ourselves speak. So we take that and we have a thought, okay? And from that thought, we perform an action.
Yes.
And from an action, what? We get results.
Right.
And then we sit there and we look at our results.
Right.
And then we typically judge ourselves, right?
Oh, no, we don't judge ourselves at all. Women are so freaking hard on, aren't we really hard on ourselves?
I used to be very hard on myself.
Right. I mean, I agree. Me too. I don't feel like I'm hard on myself anymore. But that was a journey I had to personally take to get there. It didn't happen overnight. And do you think men feel that way too?
Oh, yes.
Do you think men are hard on themselves?
Yes. And I think that the world is not really set up for men to express their emotions or to heal.
Yeah.
Or to, I mean, look how many women's things we have, how many women's groups and how many support groups and networking groups and events.
Yeah.
I go look on Eventbrite and all the things. Do you see all that out there for men? I know of a few.
A few, but not much.
Very few.
Usually it's like happy hour.
Exactly. That does not work really for healing. Yeah.
I know, and you're right. I mean, I have known two men that they wouldn't call it a support group, but basically it was like 5 to 10 guys that got together once a month and talked about intimate, personal stuff they're struggling with. They don't want to use that word support group. They'll do it, but they don't want to use the word because, no, I don't need support. I don't need that emotional support. But they'll go through the motion and do it and acknowledge, what a great time I just had. Oh, my gosh. And you can visually see their body language and the smile on their face. I think in general, just to go off topic, I think it's really important before a relationship, during a relationship, that a man and a woman have their own shit to do. Because if you lose sight of who you are as an individual and just like everything is about you or you're not being authentic to your life and your words and what you're talking about. Yeah. And I think, it's very interesting when you think about it that way.
Well, until we are able to go and do that inner work and look inside and understand how powerful we are, we tend to look to others to increase our happiness, to fill those voids, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree.
If I think back, I used to fill voids with excess shopping, excess partying, right? Like all these things. And I go, what was I doing that for? It was literally to fill a void that I felt inside. I was completely unconscious of that at the time.
So now that I'm hearing that, my void, when I was taking care of my late husband, real was on like speed dial. I was buying up shit like no tomorrow and not from Nordstrom's, from Neiman Marcus. I wound up filling up 6 closets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then I didn't know it, but talking to you, I was filling that void because I didn't have anyone loving me and I'm taking care of a man. And I missed it, so I was filling that void. It was also during COVID, and nobody could go out, so what else am I going to do?
Right.
I did buy a puppy. Everyone thought I was crazy. I was like, I need some emotional support. Like, I needed it. I needed that. I yearned for someone to just, like, love me. And
Absolutely.
I found it in a dog.
Yeah, I love that. Well, animals are good that way.
Oh, my God. The best.
Yeah.
So is this, like, talk to me about what the insight to illumination is, because I think we're kind of going there in this discussion.
We are.
Right, that's what I had a feeling. Like I want to put a title to it so our audience can kind of understand your work.
Okay, so after realizing I was exhausted, something had to change in life, I went on to become an entrepreneur. And in that journey, I had a lot of success the first year. And in that journey, all I'll call them my grungies came up, right? All those little voices. Actually, we refer to it as the itty bitty shitty committee, right? That's like, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not skinny enough, like all the things. And
man.
procrastination, self-sabotage. So I went in, became a transformational trainer after years of being a student.
Can you identify and explain to our audience what that is?
Yes. And well, we look at that hamster wheel on a very deep level. And then from that hamster wheel, what you're doing is looking at events in life, which events are completely neutral. But we make things up about events. We make up that they're good or that they're bad. And from that, we create our beliefs because we tell ourselves the same thing over and over. That becomes our hamster wheel. We teach in transformation work how to interrupt the hamster wheel. And then we also teach how to peel away the layers of armor.
Oh man, my armor's I just dealt with this on another podcast. I got my armor. I don't know. It's my shit.
And here's the thing. I was really happy and thankful for my armor that I had. Because as an ER trauma nurse, I needed that armor.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how you did that. I mean, my hats is always off to people that work in trauma. I don't know how did you ever take that home? Are you able to because how do you do that job and not take it home?
Well, we take it to the bar. We drank a lot of wine, right? We did, right? There was a lot of things that, because we were not aware at the time. You're not aware until you are. And your armor serves a great purpose until it becomes too heavy.
And that's when you're in this hamster wheel kind of situation.
Yeah. And a lot of times, Nicole, it's just that little voice. You guys ever had that little voice that is like this little whispering inside, whether it's an idea that you have or that feeling something has to change? It's just a little whisper. And the thing is, the whisper will become louder and louder and louder until you can't ignore it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
right?
I like that. For me, and this is more recent for me, actually. I'm always doing for others. I reflect on my relationships. And I noticed a pattern. I would morph into the person that they needed and wanted. I didn't stay true to myself. So I really dug in. And I'm like, I'm not going to repeat this pattern. I'm in a positive light. And I feel like I've really gotten such strength from affirmations. And I'm sorry, I do. I really do. And I am a person that looks at the glass half full, not empty. And that's a big difference. I think, I've always been like that, no matter what pile of shit I stepped in. And I raised my kids with that. And it doesn't mean that everybody can do it easily. But, those words are important. And how you tweak your mindset to that day. So for you to do that, you had to do that.
Well, the calling just came, and it was just time for things to change. And yes, and as in transformational work, we did the work. It's work, right?
So when we talk about this, the immersive journey, and who would you, if you had to describe a person who is ready, how do you identify a person who's ready to go through immersive journey?
Okay, well, this morning, this is a great example.
Okay.
So we have a monthly Chicks and Coffee event here.
Which I missed today. I know. Sorry.
That's okay. And you ladies are more than welcome. Reach out to Nicole about it.
Yeah.
It's such
great group of girls.
Yeah.
Ladies, excuse me.
Safe space, right?
Yeah.
To come have fun, connect, friendships, giveaways. Well, there was a woman there today. And I don't know specifically what I said. Oh, I talked about you. I'm not even lying. I talked about you.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about being here tonight, and she is a widow.
Oh.
And I didn't even know that when I mentioned. So you got to watch for synchronicities in life. Okay.
That's powerful, because we believe people come into our lives for a purpose, and Janell and I do, we stand on that.
So sorry, back to your question, because I thought it was amazing that happened. And she came to me and she said, please tell me more about what you do. You see, I don't go find people.
They feel something.
People come to you. The light, and there's intervention from divine and universe and God that doesn't have anything to really do with us.
Okay.
And he'll bring you your people. And this is what happens. And this woman is having a calling inside of her. So this is for anyone who has a calling inside of them, whether they are looking to heal, whether they have something they want to go create, maybe write a book, if you're wanting to, start a new career, if you're very successful and you feel like you're just stuck where you are in any sense of the form, this is for people who are ready to tap into their higher self. Quiet that itty bitty shitty committee that's telling them they're not good enough, right?
And you just segue into my next thing. How can our audience of 50s AF that are out there and dating and, be vulnerable and know if they would benefit from this work? Like, you have to be really pretty vulnerable and honest with yourself.
You do.
It's the first step, because you said people come to you. So somehow can you identify, I know you spoke a little bit about it before, but like, a lot, what I'm learning is women are really hard on ourselves, and we do live on the hamster wheel, and there's toxic relationships. See, there's themes throughout all these podcasts. It's all about, embracing your 50s, whether it's hormones or thoughts or attitudes or being a powerhouse, remembering who you were back when you were 20s and confident and, not dealing with menopause and all these things. So, listen, my audience, like, this sounds like, something they would really benefit from in regards to being their best person, A, for themselves first, which is always number one, and B, to have success in relationships. But like, is there any advice you can give them, like, to sit for a moment, like a homework assignment or anything, like, to see whether they are having those little voices and stuff like that?
Yes. And honestly, it's really, there's a great exercise, and you can find this online. And we're going to do this Sunday night in the immersion. One of the things we're going to do is go find the Wheel of Life exercise.
Okay.
All right. You're looking at all the different areas of your life, and be really honest with yourself when you're answering it. Mm-hmm. The thing is, please don't beat yourself up. Right. Answer the Wheel of Life exercise. Look at the different areas of life with grace and with love. Okay.
I think everything in life right now, we have to be more give grace to people.
Oh, we just
in our society
up like crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, there's a reason that the mental health community is so taxed. You can't even get an appointment with a therapist. It's just, our world is on fire, literally, and it's like a domino effect into personal life. It really does. And, I know that it does take somebody having that moment. And my moment was 6 months after my late husband passed, and no one was around, and I'm in bed, and I said, hey, you got to take those covers off you, babe, because someone's going to come and help you. You got to get off your ass, and you got to start. I don't know. It worked. One day it just hit me. Like, nobody was there to help me. So I figured out, I got to do this shit. I got to do the work. And I slowly came alive. And I'm sure I went through a lot of what you're going to be talking about without knowing I was doing it, And so some people might be right smack in the middle starting this and trying to figure out, like, for example, one thing you say, awaken your inner strength, gain the clarity you seek, uncover your deepest desires, igniting the fire within you to pursue your dreams fearlessly. I love that, fearlessly.
Yes.
Okay, so go into that just a few seconds.
Well, you're just a beautiful example of it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, think about what you just said and what you've created. And we're here on your podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you just created what you just spoke.
And it's so interesting, because when I was going through the thick of it and I came out of it, because it wasn't just a short journey of mourning and, my very best friends saw everything I went through. It's just not as simple as just taking care of somebody. There were so many other things going on, and that's why I talk about having your financial affairs in order and lots of things that we talk about. But yeah, I mean, my friends approached me and they're like, you know what, Nicole, this is way back in 21. And they're like, you have been through so much. You have so much to share. You should learn. I'm like, back up. I just live this shit. I don't want to be teaching. I don't want to be talking on this platform. I was so not ready to share. And then as I evolved over 2 years, I found myself finding an inner strength. And then I found myself learning and realizing, wait a minute, maybe I can help other people out there. But it took me and my journey before I was willing to discuss it and be on this platform, honestly.
It's all about timing. And that's what I think, that's where grace and patience comes in with ourselves. Every desire we have, if we can think it, we can create it. And I think you said something that was so important is that you were waiting for someone to come. You were waiting for someone to come help you do it.
Nobody was coming. It was summer in Boca. Nobody was coming.
No one's coming. Like, no one's coming, no matter where you live. Do you know how many times, if you've known my challenges, you know, we've talked about some of the things I've overcome paralysis, right?
Wow.
From 10 years ago. And
that's right. That's your
10 years.
Listen, guys, just so you know, everything as always with my guests, when we launch the podcast under speaker, guest speakers, there's always going to be every link, everything to Janell. So don't feel like you have to write it down and get it all in now, because this is some deep shit, and it takes sitting with this. So just don't worry. She's going to have stuff on my website, always available to tap into everything Janell. I just wanted to put that out there. Okay. It's a lot. This is a lot. I mean, a lot of information on this podcast. And I don't think it's easily said, meaning like it takes time to really absorb what you're saying, Janell. And I'm sitting here and I'm like trying to think, okay, how does that mean to me? Mm-hmm. So like, you know, you said a course, and why don't you talk a little bit about what the course is? So
the Insight to Illumination, it's a 5D framework. It's a proven 5D framework that takes you from desire to destination.
Oh my God, I love that.
Right?
Desire to destination. What a positive. Oh my God, that's so strong.
It's amazing.
Like I just immediately just got all like, wow.
It's amazing and it's fun and it's empowering, and you can do it. We can do it, ladies. Like, you can do anything you want. And I know we're all in a different space, and trust me, there were times in my life, Nicole, that I felt completely like, could it get any worse? Honestly, could it get any worse on every level? And the answer was yes. I could not be alive. Like, that would be worse,
look,
right?
If I'm honest and keeping it real, like I always do, I was in a pretty dark place, and it was my kids that kept me going, knowing that I could not do that to them. I could not exit of my will before my time and hurt my kids. My kids were my driving force during my darkest time. Not that I leaned on them, but I couldn't not be a part of their life. There were times where I just did not want to live anymore. How much worse is this going to get? And I'm sure there are people out there that feel that way, like, why am I living? What's my purpose? And, you know, so we're talking about, you know, the positivity and the purpose. So I'm sorry, go back to the course.
Don't be sorry, because you hit the nail on the head. When you're not clear on your purpose and you're not connected to your passion, and you don't know that deeper why, if you don't have a really strong why, it's really challenging to keep going. And that's why clarity, like I'm known as a clarity expert, the clarity transformationalist. Why? Because we get to get crystal clear on who we are beneath the armor, beneath the layers, beneath who the world told us who we should be, right? You said the quote.
I love that. The world told us who we should be.
Right.
I mean, that's like pretty heavy. It really is.
And that's why this work is so important, to just really get to know yourself, because when you know yourself.
So this is the 5D framework
This is the 5D framework, because there's gaps in between. Like, there's, you know, you have desire, and then you have the declaration, and then you decide, and then you design, and then you're here, just like we're sitting here on your podcast, right?
And you didn't make this up. I'm looking right here that Dr. Michael Ray in 1979. So I don't know if you want to speak upon that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Clarity Catalyst is a course that I teach as well. It's an 8-week course. It's from Stanford University, and it was part of their business and master's degree program, because students were coming out and they just thought they would be so much more successful than they were.
In everything, you mean?
And just in everything in this business. You know, these are really bright, brilliant people. Like, why aren't they having the type of success? So they really... Dr. Ray, he looked at it, and he took the Eastern and the Western, and they created this methodology that really helped them cultivate their intuition, to get clear on who they were, to kind of weed the garden of the mind, to understand the subconscious.
Yeah, and that's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's powerful, but yet it's a lot of fun to do, right? It's not this intense work.
I like that, because you know what? Who wants to go into intense therapy? Not everybody.
Right.
But I think we all want to better our life and be happier. We can all agree on that. So Janell's, you know, work that she's talking about and what she coaches about is, you know, you're not going to hurt yourself going through this process. You're actually going to be awoken, like have many aha moments. is what I'm hearing.
Yes. And the best part is, like, with the
Yeah.
course, we literally teach it online every week. Women are like in their jammies, sipping their wine while we're doing the training, right? Like, some people say, let's not make it too heavy.
Yeah.
But really, the impact that it will have on your life and the world around us, and the world, like you said, it needs love. It needs more love, more kindness, right? And it starts with us.
Yeah.
And one person at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, whether you're seeing a therapist, you know, there's so many different ways. And we just did a podcast with Heidi Rain, and, you know, she's a great coach too. And I believe in coaches. I think coaches are a great opportunity to tap into other than therapy. Because, you know, like Heidi and I spoke about on the last podcast, you know, some therapists, they love that you're in that 2 years, once a week, and they're going ka-ching, ka-ching, but are you seeing any progress? And, you know, and I'm a big advocate of looking elsewhere, you know, other than just therapy, because some therapists don't really have your best interests at heart in terms of they're just happy to have you and you're just talking and wasting your time and you're not seeing any success. And 2 years later, you've spent all this money and when you get nothing. With coaches, I find they want to get in and get out a little bit, like get in, we're going to get done. It's not going to hurt. We're going to make it this. And I like coaches. I love life coaches. I love what Heidi Rain does. I love what you do. And, you know, so with that in mind, I'm going to ask you something and then you're going to answer. We're going to do a little Q&A, okay? Okay, like a little Q&A. Okay, so design the life you've always envisioned. Design a life filled with peace, harmony, and aligned purpose. Talk about that, because this is all from Janell stuff, by the way.
Yeah, well, you know, we can tell, okay, oh goodness, we could go, I can't go too far into this, but everything is energy, right? The world around us is energy, our thoughts and our emotions, right? So when we have this desire, just like you had a desire, somewhere it came to help others. And when the timing was right, you chose a podcast, but there was a lot of work in between, or a lot like time in between things you did between that desire and the destination. Yeah. Right. So when we make a declaration and we use those words, you said, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And you declared it to the world, right? Yeah. So when you declare what you want, the universe works in your favor. When you can get on the frequency, sorry if I'm going too woo-woo here.
I'm following you. I'm following you.
Okay. It's going to work in your favor when we decide we are going to do something. Think of the word side. It is to cut off. Okay. Okay. So when we decide we're going to do something, there is no other choice but for it to happen. Okay.
That includes probably making boundaries.
Yes, because it's not a choice. It is a decision. You've made it, and there is no other possibility. Right. Right. And that can come very well into your relationships.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's what it made me think of, because I put boundaries up, and that's not in a negative way. Right. What I mean is, I'm not going to be going back to making mistakes that I've identified them. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to find out when I'm like, Nicole, you're breaking your rule. And I am free to communicate and tell somebody this is a boundary I have an issue with, or whatever it is. And I think that's healthy work, because in order to kind of like work on yourself, you kind of have to put a little bit of a bubble and don't get off that track a little bit, you know, and during the process that you're talking about.
Absolutely. And sometimes, like for me, it's God, whatever it is for anybody else, but you may be put in a time of what feels like isolation. You may be put in a time where you feel like you're pulled away from others, and maybe you don't understand why or how long that's going to, but if you can trust and have faith. So I really do hope that whoever's listening to this, that you believe in something bigger than yourself, because my faith is what drives me. My faith is what keeps me going. And it's been the darkest moments of my life that I realized for me personally, was being brought closer to God. And then I literally had conversations with God, and I'm laughing at myself, being like, oh my God, like I have to go through all this just to sit here and have conversations with you.
No, and I believe in it in a positive and negative way. I mean, when my late husband, he had what anybody doesn't know, you can look it up. It's called Lewy body dementia and Parkinson's. Robin Williams had it, if that just gives you an idea of how brutal and bad it is. And somebody would have to understand what it's like to watch somebody lose their mental capacity and their body at the same time. And I would just sit there and pray to God, like, please take his mind, just take it, like the suffering. I used to just like, please, because this was such a strong, independent man, and having him and watching that fight of I can do it and taking a half hour trying to get out of a chair, it was horrible. Like I just was like, stop, So definitely there's times I question God, and my God or what I believe in. And I think I had to go on my journey about that. And I did go through that. And I was dating somebody, we did Shabbat every Friday night. I loved it. That helped me come back to God for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that, Nicole. That's like super authentic and super real. And it's not always easy. And what I do find is when we can be our most authentic self and sometimes share our most challenging things that we've gone through is when we're really supporting the people around us the most, because a lot of times we feel alone. Like I have felt alone with things that I've gone through, thinking that other women haven't gone through them.
And
right?
so not to interrupt you, but I have to interrupt you because that is the whole purpose of 50's AF is a safe place for women to connect and realize, oh, other people feel this way by hearing, myself, my guest speakers, and, sometimes it's sassy, sometimes it's funny, but some of it's real shit. And I can't ignore the real stuff that you have to do. I'm not going to just be fluffy all the time about, dating in your 50s. I mean, women, it's tough. It is tough. You're dealing with a lot. And so what I love is, hopefully there are some women that have the time to do this, but what I'm also hearing is no matter how busy you are with your course, it's like you can just do it like, in that moment when you can like settle down, have your tea at night, whatever it is, a wine, whatever it is, and like give it a try, give it a shot. Because you know what? How's it going without doing anything? Nothing's going to happen positive if it's not already, if you don't change it up. And you got to figure out a way to change that up.
Well, here's the thing. We move through life and we want to create this new life and these new goals and all these wonderful things with the same mindset that got us where we are.
Yes.
It got you where you are. It's not getting you where you're going, right?
Yeah, that's strong. Can you say that again one more time? Because it's really strong.
Your current mindset got you where you are. It's not getting you to where you are going.
That's a huge thing. I love like when my guests make these amazing, strong statements. And, that alone is the prize on this podcast, that statement.
And there's one other thing. You mentioned the time, right? We never feel like we have enough time.
Yeah.
If you're someone who would want to do something like this and feel like you don't have enough time, I urge you to do it. Because how sad if we say we don't have an hour and a half a week.
Oh my God.
To take something that could change our entire life.
Wow. I mean, when you think about that, I don't have an hour and a half in a week.
Right, where I can sit in my bed.
And you're in your 50s. So typically the kids are gone. Some might be in high school, so you have time there. If you're newly divorced or a widow, you're kind of in that grieving, because divorce is grieving too, your grieving process. So you know what? Sometimes the friends can't pull you up enough. I am a big advocate about joining, support in the right way. Like for me, joining a group about being a widow was not for me. I didn't want to sit around and just be more depressed. Everybody has to figure out what their support is, but the core of it is working on yourself. And if your present words are yielding in the same results, you got to change up the words to yield in different results.
Yeah.
In a different place in life.
And the beliefs. It's our beliefs.
Yeah.
That create our words around events that are simply neutral.
Yeah.
Right? But yet we treat things completely different. So to empower yourself. And
we're talking about the inner strength and confidence section right now. Yeah. Basically, that's where we're going.
When you're reconnected with your passion and purpose, you're confident. You feel certain. When you cultivate that intuition, because think of this, Nicole, if you had a question, you didn't know what to do. So what do? We ask our girlfriend. We ask our other girlfriend. Yeah. We might ask the cashier at Publix. We might ask our mom, right? We're going to ask 16 different people. What should I do? What happens? You get 16 different answers.
Oh, yes, you do. You do. Oh, my gosh. Which is like...
We do nothing.
Then that's causes being paralyzed.
Yes, exactly.
You've asked too many people. Now you're paralyzed and you're still in the same place.
Exactly. And imagine... we all have intuition, okay? We were born with it, but it's like a muscle. And if we don't take it to the gym and work it out, we cannot tap into it. And intuition helps us immensely in our relationships, whether it be personal, business, whatever it is. Because I know intuitively whether or not your words are authentic, whether your character is authentic, whether I trust this vibe or not, and you don't have to question yourself.
So people who are dating, and intuition is huge. I mean, I raised my kids with this, real quick when my daughter was picking a college, and long story about why we were in this situation. She was like the stellar student, and we were on the West Coast, and I was like, can you just apply to some East Coast school? And she was all pissed off at me that she had to do more applications. And it was a year where all the UC systems, because we were in California, needed money, and they weren't taking any in-state people. And so we found ourselves like, holy fuck, where is she going to go to college? And she was pissed off, and rightfully so. And we did this East Coast tour, and she's all upset, what if I don't find something I like? And I said, you'll know when you know. And so she was not happy at the first two places. And then one place we go, and she's in this great mood and doing all these things. Remember, we got the hormones of the teenagers back then. And we get to the next place, and she's not happy is a kind word for me to say. And I just said, stop. And she's like, what do you mean? I go, get off the laptop. We're done. I go, yesterday you were on fire. You were happy. You felt it. I go, that's your gut telling you that's your place to be. Flash forward, she went there, and she will never even move back to the West Coast. She is an East Coast girl, which I always knew. That's why I had her apply.
Yep.
But that intuition is something that I really live by. I always have. Intuition is huge. Well, and I think you need to listen to it.
And two of the best ways they are proven, two of the best proven modalities that you can literally start doing right now is meditation and journaling. And you have no idea how many people are like, Janell, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate.
I can't get my mind. No, I'll be honest. I cannot get my mind quiet enough. I also am that person that I don't understand, and I wish I could. My daughter's an avid reader, and it's I can't pick up a book and get past 5 pages because my brain the chatter does not stop, and it comes into play falling asleep. It takes a drugstore to put me to sleep. And yet for my health, I need my sleep. So it's I have to do it. But yeah.
I know. And that's such a great story, right? Think about everything we tell ourselves as being a story. So you literally just took your words and made a declaration that you cannot meditate. You cannot read past 5 pages. You cannot.
I tried.
It's hysterical. So, but we'll work on that.
But you know what I did do? And I say this to people. Pilates is my choice of exercise. And I believe in the body, the mind, and the soul in terms of working out. So yoga, Pilates. So when I do Pilates, I often close my eyes, which I'm sure my instructor doesn't appreciate, but I'm doing that to connect. If during the launch of all this, I didn't work out for 2 months. I was it wasn't just a physical thing. It was an emotional, it was my inner soul, and my peace was not there. When I walk away from Pilates, I feel such calmness.
That's meditation for you.
Okay, well, that one works.
That's what I want to say to you. Meditation is not having to sit on a cushion and just quiet our mind. We can do color walking meditation.
What's color walking?
So choose a color, the color red.
Okay.
And let's say you go out in your neighborhood and there's a path that you typically walk or you don't, whatever. But if you go out and you look for things that are only the color red and nothing else. You're just looking for the color red, and I'm looking for the color red. So if I'm looking for the color red and I'm just focused on one thing, meditation is not.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah, it's not about silence.
Wow.
It's
imagine
about quieting
especially people in New York City or that have great parks in the fall. Mm-hmm. What a great way to think of it. I always thought meditation was truly just meditation. I never thought of it about the way you describe it. And audience, you're probably like me. We probably think meditation just meditation. And in talking to Janell, it's so much more that maybe we do that is meditation, especially for those of you that I've been told I have a monkey brain is an expression, but what I do, and I've recently taught myself actually, is I do a deep breathing exercise to go to sleep at night. And so I put my head on the pillow, so it's like an echoing effect. And I breathe in, I breathe out. And then I slowly just fall asleep to my own breath. It works every night.
That's beautiful.
Every night. And I only started doing that 9 months ago. Again, I really did a lot of work in 9 months. I have to say, in talking this through. So, there's different ways of meditating. I love the color walk concept.
Yes.
That is really cool.
And some people who are creative, like their art will be a form of meditation for them. When I do, I do cakes, so I don't do these. I only do them for friends typically, but I have one to do today, right? In between the event and here. And when I decorate these cakes and I'm working with the icing and I'm with the bags and I'm being creative, it is so calming for me. So I see that as a form of a meditation.
Oh my gosh, yes. Doing something that you enjoy is a form of meditation. I never thought of it that way. But guys, you know what? That's a good point. And, as always on the podcast, we run out of time. And there are some good things that I want Janell to grab. Just feel free to reach over, right?
Yes.
Well, here you go.
Okay,
so I want you to introduce these.
Well, let's introduce these because one we're super duper excited about because you're going to start it today.
Tell everyone what this is because we got just about 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. So
again, it'll be on the website, so don't freak out.
Okay, so how did I leave nursing? I have become a network marketer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Direct sales, beautiful with the company. It's been around 22 years. We have an amazing collagen elixir. Now, you and I know that one of our dearest friends,
oh my God,
her transformation in 2 months will blow your mind.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we have a group with 19,000 women in it with those type of transformations. So ladies, Spanx for the whole body. But from the nursing point of view, reverses hardened arteries, increases lean muscle, all these amazing things. It's a marine collagen. Absolutely amazing.
And I'm starting it, so you're going to watch me over the time change. So
blow up.
Look at this, and I'm going to point it out.
Okay, and then one other elixir. We have 3, but these are my 2 favorite. This is a nootropic. You just mentioned monkey brain. You just mentioned not being able to quiet down. So nootropic gives you immediate focus, and it gives you long-term brain health.
Is that what a lot of people do in lieu of ADD and ADHD medication now?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
they are brilliant. Absolutely brilliant for the mind. So, and I have one of my 2 books. Don't ask where the other book is. I don't know, but I am so proud of these.
Make sure so they can see it.
So this is She Rises for Tomorrow.
Ooh, I love that title.
This is an incredible book with some other female and powerful female authors. And what we do is we share our story, and it just goes to show you're never alone. And how did we overcome and where did we come from? Because my past surely does not tell the story of my present nor of my future.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
Yeah. So, and I have one other book out there, but if anyone's even interested in just learning a little bit or having a conversation, you can go to chatwithjanell.com.
Well, what's going to happen is they're going to go on my guest website. They're going to link to everything there.
It'll just come right to me. And it's well, set up a time, because you just never know.
You know what? So in closing, what I want you guys to hear is not everyone's going to pick you up and get you where you need to go. And you got to look for different opportunities to move forward in a positive light. And you can take that double entendre in positive light. But, there are different avenues. And, I'm excited because I've heard so much about collagen, so I'm really stoked to try this. I have it in my purse. I'm going to drink it right after this. And, I've heard a lot about this brand, which you didn't know. I have heard about this brand.
Yeah, it's been around a long time, over 22 years. Yeah. Scientists, doctors.
Right. So, in the end of the day, connect with Janell, see what she has out there. She has things that aren't just paid for, that are available, that you can see, and then tap in. But at the end of the day, here's the thing, guys. Change starts within. Change starts within. So with that, I want to thank Janell for joining us today with all this amazing knowledge and information. And I want our audience to pick up her vibe that she put down today and embrace it and connect on the website with Janell. Yeah. And thank you for sharing your story and how you got to where you are and this positive, wonderful place that you're at.
Well, thank you so much. I think the work you do is beautiful and it's so necessary in this world. So you're amazing.
Thank you. Isn't it great when we get these powerhouse women together across the table and we talk about things? Okay, so 50's AF podcast, Nicole Chanis, your hostess with the mostest always. Sometimes sassy, sometimes not, but I'm always going to keep it real, and that means even putting me on the platter, which I did today. So thank you so much. Keep subscribing, keep listening. Set your alerts on YouTube so you know when something's posted, okay? We're going to say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.